Hi. Okay, so I'm going to do a demonstration so that you know how to save the interior space of clay using newspaper for containers. So supplies. First things first, always use a piece of canvas on the table. It helps keep the clay dust down and it's really handy for that. So again, always make sure that that canvas is on front of you and all clay is on the canvas. You're going to be issued a piece of clay that'll be about the size of your hands. You'll need a piece of newspaper. I have 1 page. I think that's plenty. You'll need a tool of some sort. And you'll need your plastic bag that you were issued that has your name on it and your class period. And then I asked you to take a paper towel, wet it, and put it down in the bottom of the bag. That paper towel will keep your clay piece from drying out as we work on it day to day. So keep that over to the side. All right, so if I were going to make this pencil holder, this is how I would start. All right, first things first. I would take my newspaper, and as I said, it's half the page when you open it up. Crunch it up into a ball, have it ready, and put it to the side. Then I would take the clay that I've been issued, and I would pull some of that clay off. And the rest of the clay, I'm sorry, it's still on the canvas there. Can you see that, hopefully? The rest of the clay, I'm going to pat in my hands and make a giant cookie that's about 1/4 of an inch thick. Now, you don't want to pound it on the table, or on the table on the canvas on the table. Here's why. The canvas is going to suck up the moisture from the clay. The drier the clay gets, the harder it is to manipulate and model it. My hands are cold, so they work really well in clay. If you notice the clay is drying out, it might be because your hands are warm, but the clay that you're issued the first time out will be what we call a plastic state, and it's perfect for modeling. You don't want to add water to it. Water will make it harder to work with and muddier, and just it's perfect like it is. So you can see I've got a cookie made out of clay. I'm going to set it down. Pick up my newspaper, put my newspaper on the cookie in the middle, and then with my hands, I'm going to pull and mold the clay cookie up around the ball of newspaper. Now that means that I've got to squeeze it, but it's not going to collapse because the newspaper's on the inside, saving that space. Now the best tool for me in the world are my hands. I can model with them. I can smooth using the pads of my fingers, smooth all these cracks out, and it'll be ready to go. Don't freak out if you get more cracks. It just happens. The more you work the clay, again, the drier it gets. If you notice, I haven't put the clay I'm working on back on the canvas. You want to use your hands as much as possible versus patting it on the canvas. That dries it out. Okay, I'm kind of happy with this shape. Not perfect, but it'll work. It's similar to this guy. Okay. So from there, I want to add a nose. His nose is really, really prominent. That's good. I could squeeze the clay, but these are 3-dimensional, and we want them interesting from all sides. Okay. So I'm not going to squeeze the clay. I'm going to go to that extra clay I pulled off. And remember, your final piece has to fit in this bag, so you don't want to make it monstrous. You want to keep it at I'd say the size that fits comfortably in your hand. So I made a little sausage, like a sausage link of clay. There we go. I'm going to make the nose. Now, I gave you clay notes, and in the notes it says whenever you put 2 pieces of clay together, you need to score them. That means you're scratching them up nasty. If you do it nasty, it will stick. If you do it neat and purty, it's more likely to fall off. So that's where I'm going to put the nose, but the piece that I'm adding, I also want to scratch that up. Okay? Now, this nose, before I add it, is about 1/2 inch thick. You don't want things that are more than 1/2 inch. It'll take too long for it to dry out. Now I want to attach the nose what I did was I'm putting two pieces of nasty scratched area together. Using the pad of my thumb, I'm going to smooth that in and further attach the nose. Right now it kind of looks like an elephant nose. That's okay. I have time to do it, to mold it and make it mine. So I'm going to smooth it up here. Now my nose really is funky. I'm going to give him some nostrils, just sticking my fingers in here. I'm going to deal with the mouth later. Now this part, the bridge of his nose, we notice on this one, the bridge is sloped. No big deal. I'm going to actually pinch his nose, pull off some of that clay, and then attach it so it's more of a gradual nose. I mean, I don't mind a big nose, but this one was like not how I wanted it to look. Okay, so that should stay stuck to the shape or to the ball of clay that we created because I scored it and attached it. Okay, now I need to be careful because I'm starting to get these too skinny. If the nostrils are too thin, the thinner the clay is, the odds of it breaking off increase. Okay, so we got a nose here. It's quite the schnoz. And again, it's not done yet. The eyes, if you look at the eyes on this one, the eyes are added. They're not just poked in. With a three-dimensional clay piece, you have the opportunity to make it interesting by adding sculptures to it or sculpting it and making it more 3D. Don't just draw in the clay, okay? So if I were doing eyeballs next, I'd probably take two pieces of clay. Actually, I would take one, divvy it in half so it's even, and make an eyeball out of each little one that I did, because that way, with hopefully having the same amount of clay, the eyes would match up size-wise. Now you can see this one's bigger than the other one. I can just take it off and it's all that stuff. But what I'm doing is just taking a peek to see if they're about what I want. But again, I would score the back of this eyeball, nasty. I would score where it's going to go, nasty. And then I would press it in. The thing that's kind of cool is because this head is filled with newspaper, when I press on it, it's not collapsing. Okay, so we're going to pretend at this point that it's time for the bell and it's cleanup time. I will give you plenty of time to work on these. This one's not attached, that's okay for today. When it's cleanup time, take your extra clay, roll it in a ball so that it's all together. Open your clay bag, put the extra clay in first. Your paper towel being the first day, it should be wet. If it's not wet, I'd suggest wetting it again. Your sculpture, you're going to put that in next, and I would put the side up that you've worked on. Okay, because as with it being wet, let's see if you can see that. See what I mean? And then when I put it in my assigned space, I would have this part up, because otherwise when you come in, his whole little nose is going to be flattened from the weight of the ball. Don't leave a lot of air in the bag. In fact, get as much out as possible. Run the Ziploc. And then have the bag facing with your name. Take it to your assigned space. Put it back on the shelf that you're assigned as far back as possible so that when the next person puts theirs in, they're not bumping yours. They can put theirs in front of yours. So from there, you're going to take your tool, return it to the toolbox. If it's really nasty, please rinse it. You're going to fold your canvas and then take it and shake it off over a trash can. Okay? And that's how you're going to do it. Your table space, after you wash your hands, your table space needs to be washed and dried for the dust. And there is lotion on my desk. After everything is clean, you're welcome to use lotion off the teacher's desk. All right. Thank you so much. See you soon.